This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
News team, assemble!
It's back and bigger than ever. It's the Unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carrie, Josh, Eddie, and
George.
All right, welcome back. It is another edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com, where we have a massive weekend coming up as the Auburn Tigers are coming to town to experience Norman for the first time. Have you looked that up? Has Auburn ever played in Norman? No,
they've not. What are the 5 this year that haven't?
There are 5 teams. Michigan was the first, I assume.
Illinois State,
yes.
Michigan.
Illinois State never.
I was just seeing if you could name them.
Well, I was
Illinois State, Michigan.
My brain just locked up. Yeah,
I think LSU's one of them.
It is.
LSU's
and
been here before?
Ole Miss.
And Ole Miss.
Wow, that's interesting. What do we think about? Anyway, I'm gonna skip the small talk because George, you wanted to first say you did a fantastic job on your Jackson Arnold story that is front and center on the website right now, looking back at the decision he was making, the time that was when he was deciding to leave Oklahoma and enter the portal.
Yeah, it was kind of a fun story to put together. I mean, some of it was known, but I think there was also some behind the scenes that maybe you didn't know about Arnold's decision, but also Oklahoma's pursuit of John Mateer and kind of how that went down. I won't give away all the details, but I thought it was interesting, some of the stuff I've learned about kind of what their pitch was to Mateer and specifically Brent's pitch to Mateer. So it was a good time to revisit some of that stuff. And I don't know, it's the Jackson Arnold storyline is going to be what everybody wants to talk about this week. I think it's been made pretty clear by Brent, Jackson, Hugh Freeze, whoever, that everybody's like, it's just a conference game and we're focused on that. That's all fine and dandy. I do think that there is definitely, I mean, I don't think it's like people, they hate each other, but I think there's some sour grapes on probably both sides. And that kind of makes it fun.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody, and I've seen people like try and make it out to be like, it's Jackson Arnold's revenge, or OU let him hang out to dry, and now he's back. It's like they had a terrible year last year. I mean, just I was saying earlier, like just go rewatch the second half of Ole Miss, and you tell me that was a good situation that a quarterback was going to come back to after going through what he went through last year. And obviously Seth Luttrell was a terrible hire, and even Brent Biddlefuls has admitted that. But like there were neither side, and I don't remember a whole lot of hope of people like, oh, please come back. Like everybody was just like, it's time to move on. It's time to go to the portal and try and find someone. Remember Darian Mensah, Josh, I think you showed us a thread of somebody saying that they didn't want Mateer. I won't name names. But like going back to those days, everybody was obsessed with the Tulane offensive coordinator and Darian Mensah as the guys they wanted in the portal. Ben Arbuckle's name, I think it was out there, obviously. And nobody really knew all that much about John Mateer. It really was like Mateer, the landing Mateer only got better the more national media started talking about John Mateer and how good they thought he was.
Oh, yeah. I mean, guys, because let's be real. That schedule that Washington State played, there weren't a lot of Oklahoma fans staying up and watching those games like that. I'll be honest, the only game I saw him play last year was against Washington, and he was dynamic. You were like, well, he's fun to watch, but I don't know, because I think he completed about 50% of his passes that day. So it was a little shaky, and obviously playing some of the dregs of, what is, I guess, going to be the Pac-12 or whatever. It didn't impress a lot of people. But you're right. Like, the whole idea early on was Joe Craddock, the OC at Tulane, and Darian Mensah. And, I mean, I'm not saying that idea didn't have credibility. I think Mensah's a pretty talented guy. But, guys, the thing I wanted to ask you, I did a show in Alabama this morning. And there is this feeling, and George, you kind of said something that even surprised me a little bit just a second ago. Do you get the impression that, like, there's bad blood from fans toward Jackson Arnold? Like, I don't get, like, I don't think he's the one that most fans put last year on. Like, that's not where most of the blame goes, to my eyes.
I don't know, because reading our board, there's quite a few people that still hate Jackson, and
it goes back to the Tennessee game. I mean,
the Tennessee game, the Missouri game. I mean, and like, look, and Brent has said it, like, it's on everybody what happened last year, but there are certain moments you can point to and say it probably was on everybody that OU was in that position to lose a game, but there was times where Jackson single-handedly, like, put OU in a horrifically bad spot, and the Missouri game, obviously, but even the Tennessee game, like, if he doesn't turn the ball over a couple times, they're in that game. So I can understand. And that's the thing, too, is, like, I think some people, read my stuff and were like, oh, well, we don't care. Like, we still hate Jackson. I think it's fine. Like, you're a fan, and he went to a competitor and he wasn't good for you last year. Like, I think the, disdain for Jackson is fine from the fan base. I mean, I don't think the guy deserves, like, death threats. I also don't think they're, like, real death threats, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that you got to let fans be fans in this scenario. Like, I saw Red Dirt Sport, he's been pushing all week on Twitter and X that, they should boo Jackson and all this stuff. I don't have a problem with that. Like, that's college football. So I get it. But I think for the most part, fans are, they're indifferent. They just want to go win. And I think they also can't wrap their head around, could Jackson Arnold really beat Oklahoma the way he played last year?
This isn't really a Texas Tech Baker situation. I mean,
no,
not even close to that. And I mean, Eddie and I were there. We were there for the FU Baker game. I mean, it was just insane. And, like, Josh, I'm surprised you even asked that question, because fans hate Bauer Sharp still. Like, I had people texting me after the first LSU game when he had, 2 fumbles or something. Yeah. And a really good friend, and he was like, I'm going to hold it against you forever for sticking up for Bauer Sharp. He sucks. I mean, it's like some people cannot let things go.
I guess, like, there's so much of it to me that is, I'm just like, the quarterback, there was so much beyond his control. Like, there was so much that had nothing to do with him. And I know fans don't give a shit. Like, they lost, and, like, I get it. I'm certainly not saying, like, don't be, like, I don't have any problem. You go boo him if you want to. That's your deal. Like, I'm not the don't run on the field. Like, fans do what fans do within most limit, most reason. But at the same time, like, I guess I didn't get a lot of that. Like, I to the end of last year, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm projecting. I kind of pitied Jackson Arnold. Like, I was like, he's just lost. Like, I mean, just the mistakes you were seeing him make. I'm like, I don't know how good he is, but I know he's not that shitty. Like, I know he's not that bad. He just looked like a guy that was just beaten down by that scenario.
It wasn't, Eddie, to me, it wasn't anything like when you watch Spencer Rattler struggle, because, like, Spencer, he never really said anything to the media, but, he had this reputation, that he was just kind of didn't handle that stuff well. And I know it was the student section that started the Caleb Williams chants. And you'd always heard, like, there were some issues with him and, a lot of the students or certain student groups. But, like, Jackson, to me, like, Spencer just kind of buried his head and kept to himself, but you could tell he wasn't happy. Like, Jackson, to me, I felt like he was just, when he got benched, he handled it pretty well. When he came back, he handled it pretty well. Like, he was always just, I was surprised at how well he kept it together with all that stuff going
on. Yes.
You don't agree with the Spencer stuff. It's okay to say that.
I don't know I think it was two very different situations.
It was two quarterbacks that didn't succeed at a pressure-packed place like Oklahoma, though.
And I would also argue Spencer was still better than Jackson was. I mean, Jackson was...
Yes.
Yeah, he would have won a Cotton Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler.
But I mean,
did.
like, look at what was around Spencer, though.
Sure.
Like, I mean, you know, you had
he wasn't about to get pounded in the face every time that he caught a snap.
Here's the ultimate point. Everyone ended up winning. Like Oklahoma, and we'll see this weekend. Like, because OU should go win this game, but OU ended up in a great situation. Like Jackson's, faults and everything that happened last year led Oklahoma to get John Mateer, who many are saying are maybe the best quarterback in college football right now. And Jackson got to go to Auburn and be a starter, and we'll see how he plays this week. I think it's a huge test for him, going up against this Oklahoma defense, but he's played pretty well. And
we've seen him have one kind of OU moment at Baylor.
Right.
When
and they haven't played anybody.
He panicked
since
and
that.
threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage.
I would also say that Auburn's done a really good job of surrounding him with some nice talent, a above average offensive line, which he clearly didn't have last year, and they're not asking him to do, like, you look at the box scores, like they're not asking him to just throw the ball all over the yard. So I don't know. I think that I'm excited for the game on Saturday just to be over so we can move on with the Jackson Arnold stuff. It was fun to look back on some of the stuff and catch up with his dad, but I've reached a point where it's like, I want the game to be over and Oklahoma can move on and Jackson Arnold can move on.
Yeah, but it's great theater in the meantime.
Because I do think this feels to me, and I've said it before, like I'm tired of talking about last season. I think if Oklahoma can win on Saturday, we can finally move past last season and say, all right, this team's for real.
I don't know.
Feel good about them.
Have you seen the practice report thread from yesterday?
No.
Eddie has seen it because he's been involved in it.
I mean, not really. I guess there's a part of me that just doesn't care about this portion of the storyline, even though I know it's a big storyline. Like, as much as people care about
I'm not talking about the
Jackson
Jackson
Arnold.
I'm saying people can't move past things very easily because now you have a few injuries on the offensive line and everybody's freaking out and talking about why does this keep happening? This program, and a lot of it's kind of it's a lot of unreasonable just yelling and it's loud
a message
noises.
Board, though. I wouldn't expect anything different.
I will say everybody out there needs to prepare themselves for the availability report tonight because there's going to be a lot of names. There's going to be a lot of names on there. That doesn't mean everybody on there is not going to play, but just be prepared. There's going to be quite a few guys listed as questionable.
I do think that there's a portion of, and maybe even like 80% of the stuff that we say daily or post on the message board that just goes one in there and out the other for a lot of people, which is okay. Like, I guess I just got to accept that. They're not going to believe anything that is put out there.
It's also like hard, and we can get into the injury stuff if we want, but I just want to remind people, like, when we talked about that stuff, they had only had one practice on Monday. We hadn't even, heard about practice on Tuesday yet. Like, things can change, and with some of these injuries, like, it's just kind of, how are you feeling later in the week? Like, no one knows. Like, I would guarantee you some of these players don't know if they're going to be able to play on Saturday. So don't freak out early in the week. Freak out on Saturday morning when we tell you who's warming up and who's not. But
let's get to some of the injuries, especially on the offensive line. But first, before we do that, I want to tell you guys about great sponsors of the program, Cody Drug, CodyDrugRx.com. If you go to their Instagram page, Cody Drug RX, Will Douglas, our guy, he does a lot of great videos talking. How's your gut health these days, Josh?
Better, like really good. I've had really good success with what I've been doing with Cody Drug. So again, I couldn't recommend them highly enough. They're great to work with. Like, it's just super easy. Like, I guess this is the first time I've ever done any prescription stuff like this where I wasn't going into a store and having to wait in the damn lines and do all the other stuff. I just order it and it's done. Like, it's just a much simpler process.
Well, if you're out there and you're looking for better sleep, maybe more energy, better focus, or you just feel like crap during the day, maybe it's your gut. CodyDrugRx.com will help you out with that and help you stay ahead of the game. Also, quick and easy, just head over to the website, book a short telehealth visit, and you can get on the NAD Plus injection or nasal spray that ship out the very next day. And that's because Cody Drug custom compounds everything in their state-of-the-art sterile lab, including specialized medications for men's health, weight loss, anti-aging, and more. And like I said, you can get on the Chill Mag if you're looking for better sleep. I take that, and then he's also got a special weight loss package for you if you guys are out there looking to lose some weight. So again, that's CodyDrugRx.com. Feel better faster without the stadium steps. And also Eddie Radosevich, he's seeing pretty good these days. It's a terrible segue.
I was getting ready to say, yeah, I'm seeing great these days. And it's thanks to my good friends over at Enjoy. Football season is upon us, and that means it's the perfect time to dial in your vision before you miss any of the Sooner magic. You want to be able to see Jackson Arnold before you boo him this weekend. That SEC schedule isn't easy, but luckily and thankfully, LASIK at Enjoy Vision is. Schedule your free consultation today by going to enjoyvision.com. That is the letter NJOY, vision.com. Football season is why you LASIK. Enjoy Vision is where you LASIK.
You think you'll get close enough to Jackson pregame just to give him a nod?
No, I'll probably give him a hug, dap him up, welcome him back. I like Jackson. I've always been pretty open about that.
He's a good kid.
We had a good relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody liked him. He wasn't, like I said, he had so many opportunities to just be a pain in the ass if he wanted to.
Oh, and that's like, I mean, some of the stuff too, like I saw somebody on the board saying once he was benched in Tennessee, he was definitely transferring. I mean, I'm sure he thought about that, but if that was the case, I don't think he would have came back in and just gotten his ass beat against Ole Miss or, gone and did what he did against Alabama or even, I know he lost the game against Missouri. Like, he wouldn't have played the way he kind of put his body on the line the back half of the season for OU.
Well,
I think that
the Alabama
and gave
game.
up his chance to redshirt. He could have walked and saved a year.
I think walking off the field at Auburn in the wake of the way that Oklahoma came back, the kind of the hope that was brought forth with the way that Michael Hawkins was able to run the offense that day. I think that like watching him walk off the field at Auburn, ironically, that was the first time that it really kind of accepted in my brain that Jackson was probably going to transfer at the end of the year. And I think I remember we talked about that on the way back to Birmingham that night.
And I will say, like, I was looking back, digging up some old stories we wrote and stuff we talked about. But like after they beat Alabama, we had a conversation on here that was like, would they want to keep Jackson Arnold? Because at that point, we didn't know who they were going to hire as offensive coordinator. There's talk about Ben Arbuckle. Would Jackson be a good fit there? Or would Jackson be a good fit in Joe Craddock's, system, or the Georgia Tech offensive coordinator whose name's slipping my brain? Like, we were like, oh, well, Jackson would be a great fit.
Buster
Faulkner.
Yeah. I mean, we were all like, oh, well, Jackson would fit that. We had kind of talked ourselves into like, oh, well, you could buy in that they would want to keep Jackson. And I forgot too, I was looking at the quotes. Jackson said after the LSU game, I think the quote was, there's nothing making me want to leave here. And, I think it was, and I wrote in the story today, he sat down with his family after the LSU game and they just talked about it. And at that point, he had to make a quick decision. They knew they were going to hire Ben Arbuckle. Arbuckle mentioned it yesterday. They had one conversation and Jackson entered the portal. And I think that conversation probably went, hey, we're bringing in John Mateer. So like, if you stick around, like, you're probably going to get back up. And Jackson at that point knew, I got to get in the portal so that I can get ahead of the game and start hearing from some of these schools.
Well, and guys, I think the one thing we've always looked at with Jackson is like, we're waiting for him to unlock this passing potential that we all thought that he had. And I watched the South Alabama game. They do, he had some really nice deep balls early in that game. But for the most part, even after that, they stuck to the shorter passing game with him. And I think they know, that's kind of what he's comfortable with right now. But you would think with those receivers that he would be going down the field a little bit more. But we've just never seen him be accurate throwing the ball deep down the field. And I don't know if he's ever going to be that type of quarterback.
I think they're going to take shots on Saturday. I think you have to. With as much of inexperience as Oklahoma has at quarterback, and especially if something like a Gentry Williams wasn't able to play, I still think you test him, even because Gentry relatively pretty young over there. I mean, he hasn't played a whole lot of football with all the injuries over the last couple of years. So I think that they're, I watched a interview that Eric Singleton did down at Auburn yesterday. They had their Tuesdays when they talked to the media. And, I think you could probably argue, too, that they really haven't had to throw the ball downfield a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I think that they feel like, and it's something that I want to talk to Justin Hawkinson today about. I think that they are probably saying what we've said a lot here over the last couple of years of, well, they're running a pretty vanilla game plan. They haven't really opened that up quite yet. And I would think that the conference is when you start doing something like that.
I think and they did some different stuff against Baylor, but they also were able to just run the ball down their throat.
Down their throat.
I mean,
which is going to be interesting this weekend because it's going to be the ultimate test of, is OU going to be able to stop the run again, which you would think that you feel pretty confident about that, which means that they're going to have to throw the ball if they want to win on Saturday.
They physically embarrassed Baylor. I mean, they bullied them. And, I mean, that game, you just felt like not only were they winning on the scoreboard, but they were just pushing them around. And they didn't do that against South Alabama. So I don't know where they are. They're somewhere in the middle there. But I think their offensive line is pretty good. I think Oklahoma's defensive line is better. I don't know, how good their defensive line really is. I mean, I think they're solid, but OU's offensive line, and this is where we can talk about it, we don't know what we're going to get out of OU's offensive line on Saturday. The one thing that we do know is Troy Everett's out for the year, and you guys went over it great on the practice report of the injuries that happened during the Temple game. You saw the Fabechi Nwiwu. It looked really bad. You saw the Jake Michaela. It didn't look great. And we know that Michael Fasusi limped out of the Michigan game late, but he was there in a boot, even jogging, as you said. But, man, I mean, that's a lot of people that you count on that are banged up right now. Yeah.
Not good. Because I think that we saw this starting offensive line, the five that they started, or I guess the five that they started against Michigan, and then obviously minus Michael Fasusi with the added Logan Allen on Saturday in Philly, that I think there was a lot of hope with that group. And now you're talking about a group that is certainly going to be hampered by injury if, God willing, if all three of those guys are able to play. But more specifically, I think that the level of concern at center, Josh, if Jake Michaela were to go down while playing on a little bit of a banged-up ankle, it's not exactly what you want when you're starting conference play. I would say the good thing is if you can just find a way to survive 60 minutes on Saturday night, you arguably have 2 weeks to get healthy and ready for Texas and the trip to Dallas. Like, I got the bye week, obviously, next week, and then Kent State coming into town before you head down.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I'm not sure we can fully put it into words how bad Kent State is. I mean, that's a bad football team. So, I think you do have time. And I know we'll hear this guy's good and this, but it's going to be very much like the Temple stuff. Like, yeah, okay. But yeah, I mean, again, that I couldn't agree more, Eddie. The schedule, as tough as it is, in a lot of ways it breaks really well for Oklahoma. And this is one of these moments where if you get past Auburn, you get to face this test. But the O-line, guys, when I went back and watched it for the idiot, I thought that easily their cleanest game was against Temple. Now, I know it's Temple, and I understand that's got something to do with it. But there was, like, you were seeing far fewer, like, blown assignments, and this guy just missed this, and this guy wasn't where he was supposed to be. Now, tight end blocking at times was horrific. But that's going to be part of it sometimes because that room is just – they're kind of throwing that together. We get where that's at. But if you could get Fasusi back, if he's going to be able to play – and then you've got Howland as a swing where you can do, he can play left if needed, he can play right if needed. Guys, they would have, let's see, I believe it would be 9 guys if Fasusi's healthy that have played considerable snaps this year on the offensive line. I know people are like, oh, they're injured, they're beat up. That's a pretty good number for your 4th game of the year to have guys that have played that much ball and have some rhythm, have some experience out there right now. nobody's healthy this time of year, guys. Like no, like George is talking about like the injury report. Everybody. I mean, like I don't care what roster you're talking about and how soft the schedule they played is. They are beat to hell. Like I mean, that it's just the nature of the game.
I would also say that like some sprained ankles is a little bit different than I guess you used the Troy Everett example. Like
yeah, I saw
it's
some
different
people,
than like tearing your knee out and not being able to play. You can do some things with a sprained ankle and play through it and be okay.
Well, and I saw some people like insinuating that some of these offensive linemen are doing what receivers did last year, where they're just going to sit out and transfer and get a bigger back.
Far from.
I was like, no, Troy Everett like got a season-ending knee injury. He's a team captain. Also, like I would assume Fabechi, Michael Fasusi, Jake Michaela are doing everything they can to get back on the field. This week.
Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant.
Whoa, that's refreshing.
And a 9.5 plus pH for every way you move.
I did take a Spain class today.
Restoring like a pro. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
Josh, I did want to ask you if, Fabechi can't play on Saturday, which I would say of those three, he feels like the most likely to not be able to play. Is there anybody that you would like try and get some emergency snaps at center this week in practice? Like, could you move an Ozida inside? Could you move an Eddie Pierre-Louis, in a pinch? I've even thought like, could a Derek Simmons, I think he's probably too big. He's played some guard though in his career. Could you move him inside? Foje, Luke Baklenko's probably too big too at tackle. But like, is there anybody that you're like, oh, like they should try and get them some snaps this week in case Michaela, either can't go or gets hurt?
Eddie's always been interesting to me as a center. Like I always thought that could be something that would make sense. He's so long-armed and like he's not the biggest, heaviest based guy you're ever going to see in center. Like Michaela, you can get away with that a little bit. You can be a little lengthier and that kind of guy, that kind of body type. So I think he would be interesting. The problem is you hear people that obviously know far more than I do talk about it, and they're like, technically he's not where he needs to be. That's pretty tough to be a center and not be technically where you need to be. Like that. Yeah. And then on top of that, all the calls and all the, and again, Fabechi and some of the more veteran guys, they can help him with that, but it's still, that's a lot to throw on a young guy. So to me, I mean, again, like I think the thing that makes the most sense to me, and I know I'm not breaking new ground here, would be okay. Move Fabechi in there. Hopefully that can go okay. You move Foje to right guard, and I think that's the switch that hurts you the least. Like okay, Foje is a guy that they clearly feel comfortable playing. They want to get him snaps, and so you don't lose as much at right guard, and it's just okay. Let's focus on getting Fabechi to the finish line here, and hopefully Jake Michaela can be ready for the Cotton Bowl.
To me, I mean, let's say, and look, from everything that we've talked about in the office and everything that I've heard, it would be surprising if Fasusi doesn't try and give it a go.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, I mean, it's not the worst lineup out there. I mean, you just have to figure out the center thing. If Jake Michaela can play and he can finish out the game, I mean, well, you got Logan Howland probably switching to left, Ozida next to him, Michaela. Then maybe you got to play a Foje instead of Nwiwu, or do you put Ozida at right? Maybe.
By the way, the N is silent on Nwiwu.
I'm giving up.
That's fine. That's fair.
I like Nwiwu.
Okay. And Derek Simmons at right, but
and
yeah,
Derek
I think there's a chance that could be the group. It just all depends on Fasusi and his availability.
Right.
Like I think if he's good, then he's going to start at left tackle.
And maybe you start Howland and see how it goes, and then if Fasusi has to play, you put him in there if you're just not sure.
Yeah, or if Fasusi goes out there in the first couple series, it's like, hey man, like I just can't move right to keep up with Falk, who I think is who he would end up going against, who's their best pass rusher. Then you can throw Logan out there, and again, I don't think Logan played the best game last week, but we've seen him play good football. Like he's not a terrible option. To me, it's more about center. Like if you got to have, because Michael has been playing pretty good football, he's got to be able to to play in this game, because if he can't, and then Fabechi can't, I really honestly don't know. I think it would be Gunnar Allen, the walk-on. I don't think. I know Owen Hollenbeck's listed as the backup. I don't think he's particularly ready as the true freshman. I think it would be Gunnar, unless there's somebody else there. That's why I asked Josh, is there somebody else that could do it?
It's also maybe, Josh, wouldn't you agree that probably the toughest position to just throw a guy in with all the calls and all of the responsibilities that come with the center? Besides just having a snap, just simply being able to snap the ball back to the quarterback, which can be a problem for somebody that isn't comfortable doing it in a big moment, too. I mean, God forbid that they fumble a snap on the 30-yard line trying to run out the clock or something.
Eddie, you once watched the guy who is now the best center in the game struggle for an entire night to get the ball back to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Creed Humphrey in a high school game, rolled back one ball after another. I remember you and I talking about it after that game that night. Now, this was high school, a long time ago. I don't want to disparage Creed, and
we burned the video. We got rid of it. It'll never see the light of day.
I believe that was under threat from Creed, if I remember correctly.
I support everybody in Potawatomi County.
There was, again, and it's because it's so much. You've got the snap, you've got the calls, and then you've got a 320-pound fire hydrant in front of you that's going to come at you and try to move you around. Guys, it's a really interesting question if you get down to that Owen Hollenbeck, Gunnar Allen conversation, because whatever else I can say of Owen Hollenbeck, he is strong enough to hold up down there. This dude is like a powerlifting champion. Owen Hollenbeck can physically handle the job. If he can snap, okay. And we're going to make it as easy on you from there as we can. Owen, get the ball to John. Do that. Get in somebody's way. Be violent. Be physical. And then we'll make it work. Gunnar Allen at 6'1", listed at 295. Boy, I don't know how you ask that guy to hold up for 60 snaps in the SEC. That's a lot to ask, especially of an inexperienced guy. I know Troy Everett's not a huge guy, and obviously he started the season, that kind of thing, but he's played a lot of football. This is a different deal, and I don't know. Again, I don't love, neither option is ideal. Even though I think, there is a view to Hollenbeck being the future of that position, they don't want to do it now. That's not the plan.
So basically right now, out for the season, Troy Everett, I would say Jacob Sexton, would you say probably?
I think he could play later in the year, but we'll see.
We're looking at a while.
Yeah, but it wasn't it wasn't a season-ending knee injury for him.
And then next to him, probably Fabechi is the most injured, but that's not a ligament.
Yeah, and
thing.
I think I don't know this. I would assume I bet they sit him for Kent State. I think he'd be ready to go for Texas. I think it's a bad high ankle sprain, and that's usually a 3 to 4 weeks. Just don't be on it type of injury. And I think there's
probably
a chance.
Scooter.
The other thing too is I think there's a chance he suits up. He might suit up and be out there, and maybe you could put him out there in a hobbled situation. But I don't know. I don't know if he can play. I mean, it looked like a gnarly twist, whereas Michaelis didn't look as bad.
I don't know why I've never asked anybody like Gabe or I don't know, Joe and Isaac are going to be in here a little bit. Maybe it's happened to them, but what it's like being shot up.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would be curious to know.
I'll volunteer. We get a doctor in here. I'll be more than willing to get shot up on camera.
I think there's all those guys are going to get shot up.
Kind of goes to sleep a little bit. I mean, that's.
No, I think it just. This is me guessing, but just from things I've read before, I think it just kind of takes the pain away a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think it's
what you're
numb.
getting shot up with.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, what is the normal?
A cortisone shot is god awful.
It hurts going in, but it feels good once you get it in the body.
Yeah, because it's a big ass needle that they have to use to do it.
I'm not a big needle guy.
I had one of those in high school.
I don't think that's what Eddie. I'm warning you. I don't think that's a challenge you want to really take on.
I mean, I'll take it on. I'm not scared of it. But I started donating plasma when I was in college, and I kind of got over needles real quick for $25.
So anyways, I would just, pay attention to the availability report. Keep an eye on.
Pay attention to it, but don't put a whole lot of stock in it, at least until maybe Thursday nights. I think Thursday night.
I would say Friday.
Thursday and Friday night.
Friday, usually there's a good, doubtful or probable instead of questionable.
Yeah.
I would assume tonight.
Now, I am kind of interested in, what is a Gentry listed at?
Yeah.
What is his designation tonight? Is it going to be questionable?
I bet it's questionable.
Is it day-to-day? I guess they don't do day-to-day.
No, I bet if I had to guess, maybe all of them will be questionable, other than the guys that are
I could see a couple
out.
doubtfuls.
And I will say,
I could see a couple outs and a couple doubtfuls.
I want to say, too, Giovanni Gibson, Eli Bowen, I don't think they'll play this week. I think it's Kent State for both of them. Nothing bad. I think it's just that's kind of been the circled date. I think both are starting to run around a little bit, but I don't think they'll play on Saturday. And then there's somebody, Keontae Lewis. We'll see. Concussion protocol.
If you could explain concussion protocol and the way that thing works, you're a better brain than us.
Well, the NFL, the way it works is it's like a 6-day window, and you have certain tests you have to pass every single day.
You take baseline tests before at the start of the season.
So I really don't think they're going to know till Friday if he's going to be available.
Yeah.
Out for the season.
I don't think they could know.
Right.
What about another out for the season? Jeremiah Newcomb?
Potentially.
I could see him being listed as out.
Yeah, he didn't make the trip to Temple, and there is some discussions about him potentially having season-ending surgery. So we'll see.
The good news, though, is I think on the defensive side of the ball, it feels pretty good. The only spot that you really have some significant injury is the offensive line.
Well, corner is a bit of a concern. If Gentry isn't fully healthy.
Sure.
And then Kendall Dolby, I think we all saw, is still knocking some rust off, and you don't have Eli Bowen this week.
But you're getting him back.
Corner's the one that I'm kind of well, I
that's the number one position group this weekend that I think we're going to be able to sit here on Saturday night and say, okay, we know a little bit more about this group. We know what to expect from a defensive line. We know what to expect from a linebacker group that's playing extremely well. The safety group's been really good.
I have concerns about Eli Bowen and how long it will take him to get back to full speed. I mean, he's been out all spring, all fall. He has not been going full speed for a very long time. How long is it going to take him to get back to where he was last year? That's my question.
I agree. I think it's a real concern, and that's why it's if you can get him out there against Kent State and just play him a ton of snaps, I think that'd be really good for him. But again, how much of a contributor will he be? I think until after the Texas game, we won't really know, because I think that they really like Guillory, and if Gentry's healthy, he's obviously going to be out there.
No, but you're right, Eddie. I mean, the defense, they've been relatively healthy. Go
ahead.
I would just say, they're multiplying. Guys who can play and make plays on the field, more of them show up every week.
Which I think kind of leads into just the conversation just as a whole and I think Teddy has brought this up a couple times. Look at how many plays they've played, just snaps defensively. Not a big number in any three of these games.
Something like that.
I think it was 56 on Saturday, wasn't it?
It was not many because all of the 3 and outs.
So they are relatively fresh. So I don't think that you're going to have to worry about a team that might get, I guess, to an extent, worn out by the fourth quarter. And the way that I feel like this next, you can discount the Kent State game next weekend. I think outside of that, though, the 9 conference games, you're looking at some knockdown fourth quarter, what the hell is going to happen type ball games. I'm kind of going into the rest of the season outside of the Kent State game thinking that these games are going to be tight. Every play is going to matter, and kind of just clench your butt cheeks and hold on.
I did want to add, Dominic Williams, don't be surprised if he's on the injury report tonight.
Yeah, so he, I was walking down to the other end zone in between third and fourth quarter on Saturday and noticed that his pads were over by the training bench. I was like, I have no idea where he's at. And then he came out of the locker room and, obviously had his pads off and then went straight into the tent. But I don't know. He just kind of seems like one of those guys that you can, I don't want to say count on to just completely be fine, but I certainly would expect him to try to play this weekend.
Yeah, I think he's day-to-day. It's a sternum thing. And I wonder, like, if he plays, is it like on a limited snap count? Like, hey, we're going to play you in short yardage situations only, and, I think they really like Marcus Strong too. So like maybe he takes up some of those snaps, and you just, like I said, if it's a, 3rd and goal or something like that, you bring Dominic in and he can play in some limited spots. It's just one of those things. Again, kind of got to have to see how he feels later in the week.
One thing we've also talked a lot about this week is, just, and it really brought on by Isaiah Satania's performance against Temple, but it does seem like you add Zion Kearney into the mix, that John Mateer's kind of expanding that receiving core that he relies on. And, started with Jaron Kanik, obviously Deion Burks, Keontez Lewis, but now we're finally seeing some other guys, step up and kind of stake a claim to being a bigger part of the offense. Good talk.
Yes. Like who? Isaiah Satania?
I said Satania, and then Zion Kearney.
Yeah.
I know the Cubs are playing, and you've got other things going on.
No, they are playing for a spot in the playoffs today. I agree, though. And I think that was good.
And Ivan Carry-On, Ben Arbuckle talked him up the other day. So obviously, and he almost made an amazing catch in that game.
Yeah. I just think that, that was expected, though, wasn't it? I think that I would have gone the other way and been a little bit worried had some of these guys not shown up, if that makes sense, to kind of go back and get what you're saying.
Well, but it kind of goes along with their plan to start the season. Like, let's get John Mateer out there with guys he feels comfortable with, and their rotation was really tight, and now they're loosening it up a little bit.
I think we're going to see more Kearney this week, because I think that, like, when he's, he hasn't been out there a ton, but when he has been, he's gotten open, he's made catches, he's made plays. So, and he was somebody that, going back to fall camp, he was arguably their top guy in terms of making plays at times in practice before he got his concussion. So I think there's a chance we see quite a bit of Zion Kearney, especially if Lewis isn't able to play or is limited in the game.
Gabe and I were talking about this last night, and it was one of those moments, like, big win for me. He agreed completely with what I thought OU should do offensively, which when you watch Auburn play, they're not very good tacklers in the secondary. I don't know, Josh, if you kind of gotten that from breaking them down a little bit. And obviously the trig guy from Baylor had a field day, their tight end. Like, to me, Jaron Kanik against this defense and this defensive secondary, get him the ball down the middle of the field and let him just do his best Scattaboo impersonation, because I think he could just wreak havoc on that secondary.
I think that's absolutely fair, Kerry. This there are pieces of this Auburn defense. Like, the Keldrick Falk kid is the best player OU will have faced on defense this year by some margin. Like, he is a potential first-round pick. He's a special guy. There's not a lot outside of him. Like, you look through some of the years of Auburn defensive lines that were just great units. And this is a good one. It's fine. It's not like it's deficient or anything. It's just not special. And that's kind of how I look around the defense. There's good players, but I don't see a whole bunch of, like, no doubt Sunday guys. And so I think there's ways they can attack. And the thing I like about that, Kerry, is you use him down the seams, you use them and force those linebackers to start, just a step back. Okay, now we've got Torrey Blaylock. Like, now you have a little room to run and do some stuff in the run game just to keep them honest. Because to me, that's like, it's the same question for both offenses. You're just coming at it different ways. For me, it's what is the bare minimum of yardage, or I guess the maximum of yardage that OU's defense can allow Jackson Arnold to get with his feet before it's a real problem. Like, before he's doing things that are going to force you to do stuff in coverage that you don't really want to do and leave Cortland Guillory one-on-one with Eric Singleton or Cam Coleman. And not that Cortland can't handle that. It's just a bigger risk. It just is. And then on the flip side, how much can Auburn let Oklahoma get away with in the passing game before they're forced to drop and get away, and then all of a sudden John Mateer has room to run, Torrey Blaylock has space, and that running game. Because, if either side gets both options going, it's obviously it's going to be a problem.
I think too, like, there's concern with some of the injuries on the offensive line and how they're going to combat that. The one thing that makes you feel a little better is I do think they have a play caller in Ben Arbuckle that will try to mitigate some of that and cover up some of those weaknesses. And that doesn't mean that there's not going to be times that, somebody gets beat or, Michael Fasusi on a bum ankle gets beat by Falk. Like, that's going to happen. But I think there's also going to be instances where Arbuckle's able to scheme something up that combats some of that stuff and Oklahoma finds some success. I do think, though, guys, like, looking at this line, it kind of surprises me that it's gotten as big as it has. Like, I think this is going to be a really close game. I would feel better about it for Oklahoma if the offensive line was healthy. I don't know. And everybody's comparing it to the Michigan game, but to me, it's not comparable in the sense that, like, the way that Oklahoma is going to be attacked on both sides of the ball is going to be a little bit different than what Michigan presented.
I mean, I think Michigan. What's the running back's name? 22.
Justice Haynes.
Haynes. I think he's a really good back. I think Jeremiah Cobb is really good for Auburn, too.
And they're getting the other running back too, Alston.
The Alston kid, okay. Josh, did you see on defense the number 35 that Auburn brings in from time to time? He's a defensive lineman.
I didn't. I'm probably like mid-second quarter of the Baylor game. Like, I haven't gotten fully through it. It's doing all the under the hood stuff.
He is one of
the
he
kind of afternoon mission.
He's not like the Florida guy, but he is 6'3". They list him at 362 pounds.
Jeez.
He is a massive mound of a man. I mean, it's just a round guy there on the defensive line. Now, he doesn't play like every step. He's a Western Kentucky transfer, I think, or came in the portal. But you just look for number 35 when he comes out there, and you'll just be like, holy Jesus.
I think last year Auburn was one of the more like physically just impressive teams that, and maybe it was because of that first taste of the SEC, but I remember talking about that on the Instant Reaction and stuff, and the I guess the days after the Auburn game when we got back here in Norman.
A big off the bus team.
Yeah, they had some dudes. There's no doubt about it.
And that's what I think's funny about, not funny, but interesting about OU is you look at them defensively and you're just like you see pictures of like Sammy Omosigho and you're like, yeah, he's impressive. But like everybody on that defense, David Stone, he's carrying a little bit of bad weight, but he can do that because he's so athletic. But his little half shirt,
bad weight.
His half shirt.
Weight.
I think so.
I'm saying belly,
fantastic.
the belly. He's got the belly go, which I love.
I don't think I don't
No, I'm not saying that they did. I'm just saying he's bigger and he can carry that. But it's not, and I'm just saying bad weight because he's just, when he wears the half shirt, his little belly sticks out, and I think it's great. I'm body positive, Eddie.
I do want to say, George was talking, guys. I don't know if I'm drinking too much of the Kool-Aid a little bit, but even like what I'm seeing is 6.5 right about now. 6.5. There's even some 7s. At 6.5, I like Oklahoma. Like I don't love this matchup for Auburn. I think it's kind of like Michigan, where the way Michigan is going to have to play Oklahoma is the way. I just don't believe Jackson Arnold can sit there and throw it 35 times and not have some problems. Like,
what's the number? He hasn't thrown the ball more than 28 times in a game this season.
I think for me, it's more of just I can see it in my head, like Jackson just having a great game. You can't tackle him.
Well, that's the I think Sooner PTSD that's in you that has seen stuff like this unfold before.
I think also it's going to come down to like OU has to, one, you can't have the John Mateer interception this week. He's thrown one in every game.
Yeah.
And how many of those are his fault? I don't know.
This is really the start of the schedule where a turnover, especially on the opposite side of the field, is really going to flip a ball game. And you've been able to get away with it so far, but there's only so many times that you can go to that well and think, well, the defense is just going to bail us out.
Right. And the defense has to get a turnover too. Like everybody's joked, like, oh, well, Jackson's going to fumble or he's going to throw a pick.
It's like the what is the saying about the force versus the immovable object or whatever? It's like Jackson hasn't turned the ball over, and OU defensively hasn't forced a turnover.
Yeah.
One of those is, I think, going to win out this weekend.
Yeah. And you'd like to think Oklahoma could do it, but I don't know. I think it's going to be closer, and it feels like the fans are way more confident about this game.
Because they hate him.
Yeah, but they just feel so confident that it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I think this is going to be a nail biter.
I think from our lens, that's what makes this stretch, like the next 9 games, so incredibly interesting.
And we just totally shit on Auburn a few weeks ago, where we're like, oh, they're doing all this crazy stuff. Like and I'm not saying they've played great, but I think they've played better than I maybe anticipated early in the year.
Well, Josh, it kind of goes back to what we've talked about when Jackson made the move. Like, if he was looking for a really good offensive coach, you could say what you want about Hugh Freeze, and rightfully so. I think I agree with some of the fun that's had at his expense. He's a really damn good offensive football coach.
Guys, he's going to scheme some guys open this weekend. Like, that will happen. There will be a bust. Something will happen because Hugh Freeze he'll confuse, maybe it's Cortland Guillory, maybe it's a veteran guy. But somebody will see something, they'll read it wrong, and somebody's going to end up open. Now, if Jackson Arnold can hit them, that's a question. Because, guys, and obviously, and this is one of my favorite things about OU being in the SEC, like the board wars that are happening on the Crimson Corner and the bunker over at our guys' Auburn site. It's just fantastic, and there's a lot of like stat battles. Like, look at John Mateer. The thing I can't get over, I keep looking at this, when you look at Jackson Arnold's stats at Auburn, over half of his exactly half of his completions came in the Ball State game. More than half of his yardage came in the Ball State game. 3 out of his 4 touchdowns came in the Ball State game, and it's the only game where he's averaged more than 6.7 air yards per attempt. So again, I bring that stat up some. That basically means from where the line of scrimmage to where the ball goes, he's not throwing it 7 yards downfield. That's a lot of quick stuff. That's getting it out in the flats. That's doing that kind of stuff. I don't think you can live like that against Oklahoma. I think you're going to have to stretch him out, and he's going to have to show he can do that.
I also think the crowd's important. That's another thing we talked a lot about the Michigan week. I feel like we haven't talked about it as much this week. Like, the atmosphere, I'm sure, is going to be great, and it should play to Oklahoma's advantage.
Yeah,
I hate 2:30 kickoffs.
Me too, but it's better than 11 for fans.
Sure, 100%.
It is one of those things where Jackson has cracked a little bit under pressure. So the better the fans, the more pressure on him.
There's some stats out there too, like his completion percentage, or maybe it was his rating under pressure, is like way low this year versus some of that when he has a clean pocket, which is, probably a lot of quarterbacks. But I do think Brent and the defense, they're going to dial up some stuff to try and get some pressure.
Which is kind of fun. As much as we talk about Hugh Freeze and what they're going to try to do offensively, I would imagine that this is one of those weeks that you get really excited that you have Brent Venables running the defense, because I would imagine OU's going to cook some stuff up to get Jackson Arnold under pressure. How big of a deal is the R. Mason Thomas stuff for you guys? Just him not playing in the first half.
It's not ideal.
I think this defense has played so well as a group. It's something that should not cost them the game.
I certainly don't think that we're going to look up and have the instant reaction, Josh, and it's going to be, R. Mason Thomas didn't play in the first half. That's the reason they lost this game. I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, because I don't even care if Auburn goes into half leading. I don't see any way for either side that this game is beyond question at halftime. It's still going to be in the balance. So to me, and again, what I'm just talking about, where he's going to have to drop back and throw some deep balls, you got to have time for those to develop, and that's the moment R. Mason Thomas has been waiting for. That poor guy, watching these guys dink and dunk, his defense just to death, largely out of fear of him. I think he probably gets off the snide in the second half and gets him something. Now, is it enough to get the job done? We'll see, because Hugh Freeze is going to try to do some stuff, run at him, try to wear him down, try to do anything they can to just slow him down. Maybe some screen stuff to his side, just anything to keep him from being, just pedal down, getting upfield.
And what it comes down to is OU's defense has been so good against the run. They have to shut down the run to make that happen, to where they have to throw the ball. They have to take some 5-step drops. They have to take some time, in a pocket versus just doing their zone read stuff and all the misdirection and all that. So, I mean, regardless of R. Mason starting or not, his value will be later in the game if they can shut down the run.
Yeah.
By the way, a couple of housekeeping things, like going back to what we were talking about with what Hugh Freeze could do. If I were Hugh Freeze, I would probably try and attack the linebackers a little bit in the pass game. I mean, whether that's, I don't know how much they use tight ends, but running backs out of the backfield definitely is something they do a lot of. Sending some guys out on some wheel routes, seeing what happens there. Assignment, football in the passing game. I don't know that OU has really been tested that much there. So
I think Kip Lewis would love that opportunity.
Yeah.
Kendall Daniels.
It will be interesting to see how he's used. You're coming out of the Temple game. I couldn't even remember him being on the field.
Yeah, he played 17 snaps. I also think that the defensive line was so good that there was a lot of plays that just never even happened for Temple. But this feels like a Kendall Daniels. He could have a big moment in this game. So I feel good about Oklahoma's defense. There's just part of me that can see Jackson escaping a few times and making some big plays with his legs. And
I think he will.
Yeah.
I think you have to kind of go in knowing that he's going to.
And I think also, like
very
Josh
capable.
said, Hugh Freeze is going to scheme some guys open. Their receivers are going to get open, and Jackson might have some easy passes to make. So I don't know. I kind of lean towards, I think this is going to be a really close game, but who knows?
Also,
You're not going with like 42-10? I mean, let's just get nuts here, George.
I think it's like a 23-20 game.
They win 42-10. We'll book national championship accommodations in Miami live on the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast.
Well, and if it's
Gary doesn't know that. He just found out.
I know Andy Staples is going to be in town, man. Just have him come in for the postgame. Like, just have him do it with you guys.
Oh, he's going to be here. Yeah, he's going to be here. So
yep.
We're trying to figure out how we're going to work around each other. So it's going to be an interesting post game. By the way, I did have to look this up. It is immovable object versus unstoppable force.
That's it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Just insert that into the equation.
All right, Josh, we did
I didn't know we were hunting for it. I love an old football cliche. I would have had that ready for you.
We did the recruiting report on Monday right after Peyton Houston committed to LSU. You can go back and watch that for even more detail. But now we're sitting here on a Wednesday. Any ideas about OU's direction with the quarterback that may have changed since Monday, or any kind of nuggets floating around out there?
From what I've gathered, it really has been kind of I don't want to say back to square one, because it's not like they're going and watching 75 kids. Like, they have some ideas on some of the guys they like. But there is kind of, because I guess you could call it the convenient thing about this is usually a point in the year when there's a bunch of new tape out, about 3-4 games into the year, guys put out their first kind of round of highlights. And so you can kind of get a feel for these guys in their junior year. It's new video to review. You get some new information. And again, like, I don't think this is going to be a long time. I don't think we're going to have to wait 2 or 3 weeks for OU to make a call. Like, I think they know they've got to make a decision. Now, they're not going to rush anything and be stupid, because I think as much as anything, guys, it's not just about what's on tape, because Ben Arbuckle doesn't have to watch a guy for 5 hours to figure out who he likes. He knows what he's looking for. But he's got to talk to the kid. He's got to talk to his coach. He's got to talk to mom and dad. Like, who fits what we're doing here? Like, who is a good, who has the right mentality? Because, going and talking to Bowe Bentley and, watching you guys talk to John Mateer, there's a line there that connects those guys. Like, they have a very similar mentality. And so I think, you kind of get a feel for that's what Ben Arbuckle's looking for. I think that's a big piece of this that maybe people don't think about. But I don't think there's any, like, to my knowledge, no clear name has emerged. But I think they're looking at a lot of the names you would expect. I mentioned some of them on Monday. The Kavian Bryant kid in Palestine out in East Texas, a big-time quarterback. Again, the Malachi Ziegler kid, who I think is just a freak potential guy. It's just a matter of if it can all come together. And there's other names, too, that I know. I've heard he had a few guys that just he kind of likes, that aren't, everybody's All-American kind of guys, but like he, that fits what he wants to do. So I think there's a lot to it. But again, if we're doing this next week and an offer hasn't happened, I'd be pretty surprised.
All right, so the big recruiting weekend happened at Michigan. Is there any kind of an effort to put together a nice little weekend for Auburn right now with the momentum OU has?
Yeah, you've got the 2 official visits. I mean, the first official since the summer. Braden Allen, the wide receiver from Louisiana, who incidentally I'm going to go see tomorrow night. I get to watch him on Thursday, so we'll have video, should have an interview, all that good stuff from Lafayette, Louisiana. That should be a sweat box. You guys think of me while I'm there. And then Jacob Curry, the linebacker from Florida, that, it's really funny, guys. When OU offered the kid, there were people on the corner that were like, who's this kid? He's committed to Northwestern. He's taken official visits to Oklahoma, Ohio State, and there's a third, Miami. Like, it's pretty clear other people, too, were like, oh, this kid's really, really good, and figured it out pretty fast because his tape is outstanding. He looks like a Venables guy all day, just flying all over the field with his hair on fire. But just a really, really talented dude. So they'll both be in this weekend. I really like where OU is for both of these guys. They've been in since early. The interesting thing about Jacob Curry, and I mentioned it in a story. I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the pod. Nate Dreiling was actually the first person to make him an offer when he was at Arkansas State. So there's a long relationship that, kind of predates, and it helps Nate that he got, because if he was at Oklahoma, he doesn't offer that early. But since he's at Arkansas State, he kind of gets to make that early offer and kind of be like, I was on you first. I believed in you, that kind of deal. So there's something there that I think does matter to Jacob. And I know Brian Harris, country western singer.
Oh,
Brian
that's
Harris,
fantastic.
Unbelievable. If you haven't seen it, go to Brian's X and watch him do Chris Stapleton. That dude can sing. I guess
and
Eddie
plays the guitar
our
at the same
singer,
time.
Yeah. Eddie, our singer, solid review. I mean, give him your vote of approval.
Oh yeah, I turned my chair around. It was like The Voice.
Yeah. But yeah, so aside from those guys, another interesting one is James Carrington, the defensive lineman from California. Hasn't been to Norman since his commitment, so this is a good chance. Kind of want Eddie to get him on a camera somewhere, kind of size him up, maybe standing next to somebody that we know how tall they are. I'm very interested to see what that looks like. But probably the two really interesting ones to me are Quentin Hale, the wide receiver from Los Angeles Cathedral. Big time guy. Had a massive sophomore year. I had a game, I want to say last year, had a game at like 280 yards and like 5 touchdowns or some crazy thing. Like he kind of blew up, kind of came out of nowhere. And then the expectation is that Troy Milo, the defensive end from Denver that was so good at Oklahoma's camp this summer, he'll be back down. But there are others. I mean, there's David Thomas, the wide receiver from Stillwater, is supposed to be there. Just got confirmation from Terrence Evans, the big 2028 D lineman from Tulsa Union. He'll be there. So this is not going to look anything like Michigan. And I feel like we've been pretty upfront about that the whole time. But I would expect by the time it's all in, there's probably 20 offer guys that are there. And, Oklahoma feels like they can really kind of, I guess just bear down on those guys and make sure they know, hey, you're a priority. We want you here. Like they can really give a full pitch rather than, the Michigan game where it was just so many guys. Probably a few ends got missed at various points.
I would assume, let's say OU beats Auburn. You have a bye week. I would assume coaches are everywhere, probably just scouring the country, just trying to make an impression on kids.
Oh, there's no question. That's absolutely what you're going to see happen. Because really, you have the 2 weeks. Like I would even expect that Kent State week, at least the Thursday night, you're going to see guys out on the road. Like you're going to see guys out taking trips, going to places. It's a home game. You can get back easy. It should all work. And then that next week, you're right. Like it'll be, I'm trying to remember, is it usually Wednesday or Thursday is the final practice of that week? Like it's usually a morning, and then they're just gone Thursday and Friday. Like everybody that can be out on the road is gone and seeing games. And I usually run into a few people while they're out. So yeah, they'll be out, and I think that'll be like I would bet at some point in those 2 weeks, Ben Arbuckle's at a high school game watching a 2027 quarterback. Like I think you could almost bet your bottom dollar on something like that.
Anything that's kind of come out from the Michigan visit weekend where it's just you feel like, you made so much ground up with someone or made such an impression that you're kind of leaning, I don't know, maybe you've made a prediction or leaning to make it a prediction for a kid?
I would say, and now I will say, as far as predictions go, I'll have this in Woke shortly, so this is, this will be on the board before it's on the pod, before anybody gets upset. I'm about to put one in for Braden Allen. I think Oklahoma may get that done this weekend. I think there's a real chance there. But from Michigan, the ones, I come back to Montre Jackson a lot, the corner from Garland that I saw a couple weeks ago. I know Oklahoma's just always I think some other schools have kind of gone back and forth with him a little bit. I think Jay Valai's been very consistent, and I think he notices that. And for a guy from Dallas, I've rarely seen a guy with his offer list from Dallas that hits Oklahoma as often as he does. Like if Oklahoma has the doors open, Montre Jackson tends to be there, and I take that as a really good sign. I will say one guy that I don't think Oklahoma changed who leads in his recruitment, but I think they closed the gap a lot, is Eli Johnson, the big safety from Cibolo Steel. He is I know he loved Ohio State. He went up there. He was there for the Texas game, and from everything I understand, that went really well. But it was almost a good luck for OU to immediately get him, on campus for Michigan just a week later. Kind of gets to be the final big thing, he sees, and he's going to go to other games this year. But just to kind of stem that momentum a little bit, I think was big for OU.
Josh, just we want to talk about Bowe Bentley, the visit you made over to see the Salida quarterback. Nice performance against Gunter. I know it was kind of built up as a two state champions going against each other. A little bit different in classification, but certainly, and we talked about it on the recruiting report on Monday. You can see Josh's interview with Bowe Bentley on the Soonerscoop.com editorial page. Certainly, like you said, if I had to just imagine what John Mateer, I guess, somewhat looked like in high school, I could see that being a lot of what we saw in Bowe Bentley.
Yeah, there is, and I will say, and I in the story that I wrote up, I was like, you can see so much of Mateer's game in Bentley. Like they have a lot of similarities in the way that they play. But I'm more than confident to say that Bowe is well advanced of where John was at the same point in time, because we've talked about it. John played a lot of receiver, didn't play a lot of quarterback, and Bowe played the receiver as a sophomore. So, there really are a lot of interesting connections between the two. But, you watch Bowe mechanically, and he's pretty sound. Like, he really is pretty clean. He's got a good release. Very decisive. Like when he sees it, and the thing that stood out to me watching that game that I liked so much, and Mateer, you see Mateer do this with Canick some, where when he's in a bad situation, he's like, I know Jaron can fix my problem. Like he'll look for him because he's like, if anybody's going to be open, it's going to be that dude because he's a matchup nightmare. Bowe did something very similar with his tight end, a kid named Wyatt Villarreal that's committed to Pitt.
I like that kid.
He's a good player. He's a really good player. He's like 6'5", 205.
Not to completely sabotage the Bowe Bentley conversation. He just looks like one of those guys, though, that we're going to look up in 4 years. He's going to have developed at Pitt, and he's going to be one of those guys that ends up weighing, I don't know, like 240 by the time he's done. He just has that body style that reminds me of some of the guys that have ended up at Iowa State over the last couple of years.
I fixate. Does it not give you like some Charlie Kolar vibes, like that kind of
absolutely
big, rangy kind of guy?
Was he the guy that K-State or Northwestern was out there watching that day when we were there?
That's exactly who it was. Wow.
You can go back to Bowe Bentley now. Sorry, I hijacked that.
No. every once in a while I will hit my headphone and whatever was playing on my computer just starts playing again, and it's always very interesting.
I heard that it came through our headphones. Sounded like Alex Jones.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Get down to the bottom of it. I want to just as much as you.
How I get from there to Bowe Bentley is going to be a lead.
I was talking about Garth Brooks.
Serial killer. I saw that.
Troubling.
It's weird.
But with Bowe, like I said, he just when he saw the matchup and he saw the kid, there was no like hesitation. He just went back to him over and over and over again. And I get that makes life easier, and people will be like, well, he won't always have that kind of advantage. Maybe not. But I like that when he saw something, he was like, I'm not going to overcomplicate this. Like I see so many times, whether it's offensive coordinators, whether it's quarterbacks themselves, where they're like, well, I got to spread it around. Man, the point's to win. Like, get it to the guy that can make a difference. And Gunter, who's probably going to win a 4th straight state title. That's a really good team. They've got a little quarterback of their own that's not like a quarterback prospect, but he's a damn good athlete that is going to be a real problem at their level. Like, people are going to have a lot of trouble with him in open field. But with Bowe, like I said, I just liked kind of had some killer instinct to him. Like, just every time Gunner would kind of start to get back in the game, he would just, the tempo would speed up and he would just run them right down the field. He really answered every time they got pushed.
The only thing I know about Gunter is they're always playing the week before Christmas, which means that they're really, really good. Like, I always see them, I feel like, on the Texas high school state playoffs when they make it up to Jerry World. I think they've won three years in a row.
They're very familiar with the locker rooms there inside Jerry World. They know where they're going when they come out of the locker room, if they're going to go left or right.
3A Division II, I believe. And then is Salina 4A Division I? Is that right?
I think they're 4A1. I'm almost certain that's right. Division I championship in 2024. Yeah. So, and that was funny enough, like that was the first one they've won at 4A. Like all their other previous titles were 3A and 2A largely. It'd
been, I think, 20 years, right? 20 years? 15 years since Salina had won?
17. It was 2007 to 24.
Okay, well, then not that long. But for them, I'm sure that felt like 20 years.
I mean, that'd be like, for Oklahoma, for people in the state of Oklahoma, that'd be like Jinx going 20 years without a state title. Like it's crazy. Does not happen.
All right. Anything else that we need to hit on?
We talked about Braden Bonnick, the 2028 linebacker recruit target offer on the recruiting report. We can divert everybody over to SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel if you want to get a little bit more on that. Certainly going to be a name that I think Oklahoma fans will familiarize themselves with over the next 2 years. I mean, he looks extremely, extremely good.
Yeah, he's, again, I would go watch the video so you can kind of have us looking at the video talking about it. But he is, I keep saying it, he's a junior Olympics like sprinter, like 100 meter, 200 meter, and he's 6'1", he's 200 pounds, and he's playing linebacker. And I can't overstate. There are guys that like I go see, and I kind of hear from sources like, oh yeah, let us know what you think. It's more of a make sure that dude knows how much Oklahoma likes him. There was messaging desired. So there's no question that Oklahoma is super, super high on Braden Bonnick.
All right. It's going to be kind of a fun weekend, a lot of different games. Even Friday night, we get to see, we could sit down and see this Oklahoma State team for ourselves just to see what the hell they are.
God, they better beat Tulsa.
Does anybody want to see that? I said it this morning on the radio. It's I find it disgusting, but I'm going to watch every single snap of that game. Both Friday night games, because the Thursday night game, I mean, as much as we want, I know, Kerry, you said it last night, like, kind of sucks that there's no football on the next couple nights after the Monday night experience. It's going to be disgusting. I think Thursday night's like Rice and somebody.
And Charlotte.
Rice and Charlotte. And then Friday night, Oklahoma State, Tulsa, and Iowa, Rutgers, which will be oddly disgusting as well. Very excited for all three games.
Is that going to be like an NBC game?
I think it's the Peacock or NBC, one of the two. whatever the hell they're doing. No, it might be Fox. I think Fox is doing those Friday night games.
Oh, I think you're right.
Because
You're right.
OSU Tulsa, I think, is an ESPN operation.
Yeah.
I believe.
I mean, I fear for teabag sanity if Oklahoma State doesn't win that game.
I mean, if they lose to Tulsa, which I don't think that they will, but I guess the way that they played over the first 2 games certainly opens up the door to conversation. I think that like the idea that they would have to fire Mike Gundy and during the season, that would then be on the table. That's. I
mean, everybody's already doing it. I mean, it's like
I was fixing to say, how comparable would that be to VT losing to Old Dominion and then UCLA getting housed by New Mexico?
I didn't think that they would make that move so quickly, and the more that it's come out on the UCLA thing, that's just a disgusting athletic department. I guess that Jarman guy's just really, really bad.
What do you guys?
All in on Mike Vick, by the way. Mike Vick to Vatek, that'd be sweet.
What do you think about Beamer? You think he would leave South Carolina if they put a money truck together?
I mean, no, I don't. But is the question, is Shane Beamer going to be back at South Carolina? If that's the question, then I think that he would be more open to finding a landing spot.
Correct, because I think there's a chance, and it looked like I just saw a report, Sellers is trending towards playing this week against Missouri.
That's good.
But Sellers also hasn't played great this year. If, let's say, South Carolina goes 5-7 this year, which I think there's a very real chance that happens, or 6-6, something like that. I think that there's a chance he leaves for Virginia Tech. And my argument for that is I think South Carolina's probably a better job, but he could win a lot of games at Virginia Tech in the ACC.
In the ACC, yeah.
And obviously the ties there with his dad, it would make some sense to me. And I think he could again, I don't think he would maybe win a national title. I also don't think he's winning a national title or the SEC at South Carolina.
Yeah. I would agree. With that.
I mean, and guys, there's something to be said for, Shane's done a good job at South Carolina. I don't think there's any question about it. There comes a point though, and we all know it, every coach talks about it, where, oh, well, what you've been doing, what you got us to that we weren't doing before isn't good enough anymore. Like, does it give him a chance to kind of restart somewhere else? Not even that he wants to leave South Carolina, but I know I'm going to go to Virginia Tech, and because of my name and because of everything else, whatever I give them, they're going to be incredibly happy with. I mean, they're going to be happy to go 7-5. It won't last forever, but they're more happy at 7-5 than South Carolina will be for the next few years.
It is. I mean, the insanity of coaching in the SEC, where you go out there and you win big non-conference games, and then you get into the schedule and you don't do so. I mean, beating Virginia Tech, like they did, just running away with it.
It was kind of a game too, wasn't it?
It was for a while, but they pulled away in the
which isn't good news. It was not good news for South Carolina.
No.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this, and it's way early, but over under 3.5 jobs in the SEC come open after this season.
Over, because I think 2 are for sure, and it's not. I'm not even talking about Florida.
Okay,
Arkansas and Kentucky.
Okay, and then
I think
Florida.
3 for sure because I include Florida.
Okay,
yeah.
And that's completely fine.
It's been great to see the starts and to see their names taken off of every hot seat list that's out there, but whoever loses between Brent Venables and Hugh Freeze is right back on the hot seat.
It's kind of crazy, and we were talking about it on one of the practice reports, because I think the winner all of a sudden becomes like on that first page of
you're talking about a
coach of the year playoff.
Yeah,
like we put a lot of magnitude into the Michigan game, and rightfully so, but this one even more so because of the conference aspect, because of the momentum that could be created with a win on Saturday. It's fascinating. Josh, more surprising, DJ Lagway throwing 5 interceptions on Saturday night, or this continued just whatever Texas is doing with Arch? Because I think I'm still in on both quarterbacks, by the way. I know that kind of sounds weird and talking out of the side of my mouth to a certain extent. I still think both can be really good when it's all said and done.
I was more in on Lagway coming into the year. Absolutely. I thought Lagway might win the Heisman Trophy. I really believe that he had that kind of potential. but I thought there was less chance for like a bottom with Arch because of Sark. Like Sark's going to dial him up play. Sark's going to put him in good positions. I retweeted something from a long time ago earlier this week. I don't always know about Sark as a QB developer. I think he gets a lot of credit for that, and I don't know that it's always legitimate. But as a play caller designer, he's as good as you'll find in the game. Like, there's no argument about it. So I thought, like, okay, he'll put him in good positions. But, guys, their wide receivers don't look like difference makers. Their offensive line, for OU fans, you think you got problems on the front? Watch them not be able to block UTEP. Like, it's bad. And I don't – and, again, like – there's not even the, okay, well, this guy was hurt and this guy's coming back. Like, they're playing who they're playing. And you're just like, okay, I don't really understand it. I don't know how they've fallen this far off because they can't get any run game going. They can't support Arch. But apparently it's a very Joe Burrow-like start to his career. That's
the numbers match up. The numbers match up.
Also,
Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and all those guys too.
Also, it's really sad that John Mateer is, posing while he throws passes out there.
That was pretty funny. I did get a kick out of that.
Who said that?
There was
a Texas fan.
Basically,
this is what's wrong with quarterback play. Guys are thinking too much about photo ops while they're throwing the ball.
I will say the watching Texas, like that's where you get into danger territory. Like thinking about OU's schedule, and you're like, well, if they can get past Auburn, and boy, that Texas game looks very winnable.
Look,
and Sellers is hurt for South Carolina.
Home.
Like Sellers, like you're like, oh, maybe OU could be 7-0 in October.
I think there is a part of me, and I think we'll start learning about this. We just talked about it, but I do think that they still, to me, need to find ways to win games in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And like I think that's still a big major question mark.
But they did it against Michigan.
They did.
I mean,
they
it was.
They
I mean,
did.
they did what they had to.
Because you did it one time doesn't mean that it's all said and done.
Correct. And I think they're going to have to do it. And you said it earlier, Eddie. I think they're going to have to do it multiple times. It's not going to be like like one or two more games.
It's not a cakewalk.
Like there's a chance they have to do it like 5 more times this year.
Yeah, I could argue more than that.
Yeah.
7 or 8 with all the conference games. Like I don't think that there's a single game that you can see. I can be talked into both sides of it. Like they could win or lose.
I mean, what's funny about like last year, and everybody's had this argument with your friends, like if OU had Mateer last year, how many more games would they have won? And everybody's like 2 more. They would have been 8. They would have 8-win team. Like you're taking a really good college quarterback and putting it on that team last year, and you're only getting 2 wins. I mean, that's how hard it is to win in the SEC.
Yeah, it's tough, man, and it's wide open right now. I think it's like I wrote in my mailbag this week. I don't know if the SEC has a great team, but they've got some damn good ones. That are going to give you a battle every single week.
That Tennessee-Georgia game was
and
amazing.
It seems like every single one of them is on Oklahoma's schedule, other than Georgia.
You do get a lot of home games.
Yeah.
That's the variance in this, guys. Like there is absolutely a world where Georgia's right, and Oklahoma comes out of South Carolina 7-0. There's almost, I wouldn't say equally, but there's not a far-fetched world where they come out of that game 4-3.
Correct.
Like that is absolutely in the cards of possible outcome.
Terrifying.
I mean, Alabama hasn't played anybody since Florida State, but they've looked good.
I think I'm back on Alabama.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, is it tougher to go win at Tennessee, or is it going to be tougher to go win at Alabama?
I think Tennessee.
I just don't know what Alabama's going to look like by the time we get there.
The answer is yes.
Just because
it's going to be tough at both.
But I will say, like, I think for Oklahoma's sake, if they want to be in the playoff talk and reach these goals, not to say that it can't happen, but I do think they have to be 6-1 after the South Carolina game.
I think we talked about it on Saturday night after the way that A&M, I thought that was a really impressive victory in South Bend over the weekend. Got away with a hold on the last play of the game. But Marcel Reed, like I'm kind of more open to the idea of him being a dude.
I think Missouri, I know Missouri hasn't played anybody, but
they're still beating the shit out of teams.
And it was an impressive win, beating Kansas the way they I think that game's going to be tough.
It's going to be a big game. I can see that being a ABC primetime type of situation.
I don't know who else plays that weekend, but
yeah.
Important question for our video guy and our guy that runs the room. Are you guys? Do you feel good about the Notre Dame coverage of the holder? Like,
no, that made me really uncomfortable. I feel bad for. I told George as we're watching on Saturday night when we got back to the hotel room,
stop showing him.
I feel terrible for this kid.
Did you see what they did on the
Tyler
SEC
Beckner
shorts?
or something like that? Butner.
The SEC shorts. Did you see that one where
yes.
they? Yeah, that was pretty
trying
funny.
to get behind the tree.
Like, do we have another camera angle? They had 2 cameras on them.
I would love a conversation at the end of the year, because this means OU's in a good spot. But a OU 10-2 Notre Dame conversation at the end of the year for one of the final playoff spots. Just prepare yourself for it, because if Notre Dame runs the table, which I don't know if it's just a given that they're going to. That's going to happen. Like, that Notre Dame conversation will be there.
I am very interested too. Like, speaking about Notre Dame and their schedule, what's USC? Like, we're about to find out what USC is.
I think we're going to find out next week. They go to
Illinois.
Champaign, right?
Yeah.
Play at 9 a.m. their time.
Their time, yeah. Big 12 playing their biggest game of the year this week. Texas Tech and Utah at 10 a.m. locally in Salt Lake City. Good job on the scheduling.
It really also depends. Does Miami run the table? Like, because then you have a loss. I think by Miami 3-1.
Miami might be really, really good.
I think Miami might be the best team in the country. They look really good.
Their defense is legit.
Yeah,
and they got some dudes at receiver.
That's probably the only D-line I've seen that I'm like, they're probably better than Oklahoma.
You want some angst
they're as good.
If you're cheering for angst in Gainesville, just pay attention to what happens after Saturday night.
Yeah, that could be like, if Miami gets up early in that game, that could be a bloodbath. Like, that could get real bad real fast.
And I think that means that Napier is the next coach fired. Yeah. If they get blown out by Miami. Yeah.
Because I want to say, doesn't Florida have an off week next week? Like, it's the perfect time to
and then they play Texas.
And then Texas.
Yeah.
Because Texas plays Florida before the OU Texas game. It's also been good just in terms of college football to see crash outs from coaches so early. And we got one on Saturday night with Brian Kelly and his experience with the post-game press conference, which was maybe one of the more funny videos that we've seen. And then Dabo yesterday going on his rant about if you want to throw me out, go ahead. I'm still going to be coaching.
Did you guys think Brian Kelly's overall point was fair? Like,
no.
That's not the question you start with.
Well, I agree that you don't start with that question, but you still have that reaction.
I think that there's there has to be history there that we don't know about.
Yeah, that's what I like. Yeah. I was like, I want to know.
Building.
Like, has he been like poking at Brian Kelly for months or something?
Because it is funny.
Well, he came back and said that he called and apologized him and actually did a public apology.
He said he texted him, which I thought was even more funny. That it is fun though to look at the box score from the LSU game. Like, they are not very good right now offensively. And maybe that's going to be a developing story here over the next couple of weeks. Can they find something?
And that's why I think the reporter's question was somewhat valid in the sense, well, one, it was valid. Like, it should have been asked at some point in the press conference. But I also can understand why he asked that, because if you're covering that game and LSU has 5 interceptions and the offense still can't score more than 20 points, you can't run the football at all.
And you had a Heisman Trophy favorite to start the season.
Right, and he's throwing a bad interception that gets Florida possibly back in the game. Like, I think my first thought would have been like, yeah, LSU won, but boy, was that ugly. That was not like, they should have won by 20 or more.
It's a lot like, when Lincoln Riley was 9-0 and they were sucking, and you kept asking him in every press conference, why aren't you better? And it was this, we're close, that everybody got sick of hearing.
I just thought, too, the way he asked it, because I was like, oh, did he ask it like in a rude way? I mean, he just was like, what are your thoughts on the offense? And Brian Kelly just lost it. And I was just like, wow.
I love how he kept his calm, though, and he was like, what about third down conversion?
Yeah, that was great.
They're 17-1 at night.
Oh
like,
my
what?
God.
What does that have anything to do with?
The level of his response, not trying to say that was okay, but like his point of like, really, that's where we want to start this thing? Like, after a big win, it just, I don't know. Like, I thought that was reasonable, but like you're spoiled, like just going way down the road.
I think we also look at it through a different lens too, knowing that I think we all four would agree. I feel like Brian Kelly might be like one of the biggest pricks in the entire world.
Yeah.
So like, just knowing that going in, it makes the video even better.
But you are right. I mean,
is there anyone doubting that he's one of the biggest pricks? Like, I don't even think there's an argument against it.
No. He just doesn't give a shit either. I mean, that's another part of it. He doesn't care what you think or want, or he's just kind of a selfish prick, kind of. But no, that's a good point, though. I mean, you want to wait till later in a press conference to ask something that is going to be inflammatory.
Yeah, and especially
whatever.
after a win. Like, you want to usually highlight, hey, so-and-so played great, or your defense.
There's actually...
Like, the first question probably should have been like, hey, your defense had 5 interceptions tonight. Like,
there was actually a student reporter I pulled aside years ago because he was pissing everybody off by trying to kind of grandstand and ask the toughest question possible, like right at the beginning. And so I just called him. I said, look, you're pissing everyone off. Nobody's upset at you for asking that question, but just wait until, we've got the meat of the press conference taken care of.
Yeah.
If you're going to, because what you do is you make the coach defensive and the rest of the press conference sucks, and then you get nothing out of it.
I agree. I still think, though, the way he asked it, he just was like, what are your thoughts on the offense? Like, that's all he asked. And I'm just like, man, that's quite the reaction.
I mean, we were there the time when the guy from with the Notre Dame game and the guy from Technical Mexico or whatever asked him about playing a game
in Mexico, right?
Or something about playing at Jerry World, playing against A&M, and like making it a whole weekend with stuff. And it was a long question. And at the end, Brian Kelly just goes, sure. And that was his answer.
The underrated part about that is...
but it wasn't an asshole thing. We all laughed.
The same reporter asked Eric Bailey if he was Mexican.
No, he asked him...
Native American.
He asked him if he wanted a job. And he was like, why'd you ask me if I want a job? He's like, because you're Mexican.
What would we have to ask Brent to get him that pissed off?
I think like going in after Saturday night, like if they were to win, ask him if... I don't know. I don't think
he would ever
because
do
I
that.
think it. I don't
think Brent would ever do that.
There was some feel there that like that had to have been a growing like moment between those two. That we just saw the eruption.
Yeah, I will say
I think
he
Brent would chuckle and just be like, just write whatever you want.
Yeah, it was funny on the teleconference today. Somebody I think in Alabama, probably covers Auburn, got on and asked Brent like, is there anything you would have done differently last year in handling the quarterback situation that you wish you did differently? And Brent was like, I wish we were healthier. And then it was just like dead silence. And that was his answer. He was just like, I just wish we were healthier. That's all he said.
Pretty good. All right. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Just and a last thing, but I keep hearing this narrative, like, and I've even heard, like, like Ari from On 3 talk about this some, like, that, or maybe I'm being unfair, but like I know it's been out there from some national guys, like, OU just left Jackson Arnold out there to, like, they just hung him out to dry and put it all on him. And I'm like, when did that happen? Did I miss that? Like,
yeah, they were pretty always upfront about the injuries, and the wide receiver thing.
Was everybody.
And it was a terrible, awful spot that. I think looking back at it in hindsight could have been prevented by getting a quarterback's coach. And, obviously some of the injury stuff just was unforeseen, but I guess it couldn't have been prevented.
It is really interesting, just seeing the role that Kuzieski plays, with Ben Arbuckle and just realizing that they had nothing like that for Jackson Arnold. I mean,
kind of crazy.
The support that you have to give a quarterback in this day and age, it's way... That was some old school shit that they tried to pull off last year, and it did not work. And
Mateer has 2, and Arnold had 0.
Yeah. It's crazy. All right.
Real quick, shout out Baker Mayfield. Shout out Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. So much fun watching the first 2 weeks of the season so far for the Bucs. It feels like that was the type of win that, like, if the Bucs truly want to get to that next plateau with the Packers and the Eagles, like, you got to win those games. Those are the games that you find ways to win. Really good teams find ways to win. And it was awesome to watch Baker.
Once they get healthy on the offensive line, like, I think they got a chance.
Get Chris Godwin back.
Yeah, the defense is still, to me, like, they played well on Saturday. I still think they're a little suspect.
And
I also don't trust the head coach.
We were bad-mouthing Todd Bowles, but that was a little bit of a masterclass in the final 2 minutes.
I think he also lucked into it a bit.
He might have.
He might have.
He definitely might have. But it was kind of a masterclass.
What is the like? Did he let them score? Like, did that happen?
Yes, I think so.
I think maybe.
I think whoever it was in the back end. Oh, Winfield. I think Winfield was smart enough to be like, we don't need to tackle him.
But the timeouts on the final drive, though, I think
that's crazy.
I think he just got a little lucky.
He definitely might have got lucky, but as it turns out, he looks like a coaching genius.
Can we talk about Baker Mayfield? Like, he doesn't need medicine or healing. He just needs Courtney Gardner-Johnson to talk shit to him.
Yeah.
Like, that was amazing. Like, he was clearly hurt and opted up to talk more shit.
If Gardner-Johnson would have gotten in his face, I think he would have laid down for a couple more minutes. Like, he that looked bad. We were watching it in the conference room, and I think we all three, Carrie, George, and I were like, oh, shit. Like that, I thought it was like a knee almost.
Yeah.
There was somebody that put out a great video of him on the bench, like meditating before he came out on that drive.
Yeah, I thought he was hurt. That was after he
twisted his ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just a gamer, man.
He was just over there regenerating.
And he's so good in the 2-minute. Like, he might be the best in the league.
The only thing he needs is a freaking kicker.
Gosh.
I think he's going to be okay, even though I was saying they should cut him.
He's usually really good.
He was really good last year. They just, you missed the extra point in the first week in Atlanta. You miss, obviously the 41-yarder last week.
I think Aubrey's just in everybody's heads.
Well, he's the best kicker
ever.
Maybe ever. Like, they literally ran him out to make a 64-yarder like it was a 31-yard field goal.
Also, Josh's Colts.
I hate that the Cowboys have something I can't mock.
Josh's Colts, 2-0.
Daniel Jones.
Oh, get ready. Caleb Williams is getting ready to have his career day, getting ready to play that Dallas defense next week.
Yeah, I just don't. But the problem is, I don't think the Bears can stop anybody. They've given up, 73 points in the first 2 weeks of the season?
I also think Caleb Williams might be a bust. I think he's got tremendous talent. I just don't know if he can
bust is better than the other derogatory term that you've been using around the office about Caleb Williams.
All right, on that note, Eddie has given us a point to get the hell out of here. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We got to turn the studio over to the family business. They're going to have Aaron Murray on talking about talking about John Mateer.
I bet he'll talk about Baker.
I bet he'll talk about Baker. We should get him to talk about Baker. John Mateer and Jackson Arnold, who he's broken down a lot. I do know that he picked Auburn to win the game on his podcast, so that'll be interesting.
Sick.
See if he lies and picks Oklahoma on the family business. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back again next week for another edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com.